Well, it's St. Patty's Day 2021. So what better time than to get you caught up on the career of Tommy Mean Street MacBride's. What I've done is I've played on ahead since his debut fight against Jamie Rose. And I basically took him all the way through his regional level, or I should say up to his regional title challenge is what we were headed towards. But not to give too much away, let's recap how things have gone to this point. So my man starts off this campaign as a physical fighter, con 4/4, defense 2, power 6, durability 5, chin 5, cut 4, which I guess is appropriate for a typical Irish brawler. Willpower 6, TKO rating of 6. Finish is -1. We need to work on that. He is a dirty fighter, thereby supporting his nickname Mean Street. He has 16 endurance points. His the top of each range, well, I should say his mode ranges are 1 to 2 elusive, and then up to 10 outside, then 11 and 12 inside, and from there 13 and up is pressure. His big punch is a straight right hand, and he also has a pretty good left hook, which is his B punch. So that's the A and B punches. All right, so in March of 1955, he beats Jamie Rose in a two-round TKO. And according to the pacing, in his first year at this novice level, he would get 10 to 12 fights, and I say up to 12 because if you look closely at the campaign guide, it talks about how the pacing in this era, the mid 20th century, was a little faster. You could get in, two or three more fights a year, perhaps, than they do these days. The way things were not regulated so well back then. All right, so therefore, since I'm starting in March, then that pretty much pans out to a fight per month, unless that is interrupted by something in the like on the training camp chart. So after fighting Jamie Rose, I rolled a 5 on his normal development roll, which means I missed it by 1. 1 through 4 is the range you want in order to get those developments. Stage advancement didn't apply yet, and that won't for the first 4 fights, 3 or 4 fights. So, April 1955, his second fight is against Cameron Clark. And Cameron Clark tested him a little bit more, took him, actually that was a 4-round decision. So, let's see here. Clark actually gave him a pretty good round in round 3. That round was even at 7 punch points apiece. And MacBride barely beat him out, kind of edged him in rounds 2 and 4, but it was enough to get a fairly clear-cut unanimous decision. For his development roll, I rolled a 19, nothing close, no stage advancement, and I guess that's all you need to know about that one. So, fight number 3. We are in May of 1955. His reputation points now are up to 5. I didn't even record them. Yeah, I did before. So yeah, he picked up 3 for beating Rose, 2 more for the unanimous decision. So he's got 5 points going into his third fight. And this one here was against Sammy Bowen. And Bowen, let's see here. There was nothing close. I thought Bowen would give him a little bit more trouble than this. Physical fighter, but he was low on con and def, which is spells trouble. Typically, you're not going to win a lot of fights that way. But good durability, average to above average cut and chin. At any rate, the TKO conditions were met in the final segment of round 3, and I rolled the dice to see at what point in that segment that punch came, and I think it was at 2:58 of the round. So that was too close to the bell, so I just let it go between rounds. I made the willpower check after round 3, before round 4, he failed the willpower check, and so Sammy Bowen quit in the corner, and that goes as a technical knockout as well. All right, on to fight 4. Okay, let's see. MacBride's reputation is up to 8 points with a record of 3-0, 2 knockouts, and he's facing Santiago Perez. There are no training camp modifiers, and he is able to stop Perez at 155 of round 3, knocked him down after a really good tussle. The first 2 rounds were close. Probably both fighters won a round, and Santiago Perez actually had a really good round in round 2 and beat my man 8-4 on punch points. But then MacBride comes out, didn't even change modes, just comes out, and it all came together, and he knocked him down about 20 seconds into round 3 and floored him 2 more times, and that was enough to force the stoppage at 155. That was the end of Santiago Perez. I rolled a 10 on development. I rolled a 9 on my advancement check. That was the first advancement check, and that was too high. And so his rep improves to 11 off of this fight. We carry that down to his 5th fight in July now of 1955. With a record of 4-0 with 3 knockouts, he faces Rolando Jackson. Anything remarkable about Jackson? Jackson had big willpower. Yeah, so you're unlikely to just floor him and not have him get back up, and that's exactly what happened. Although shockingly, in the opening segment, just seconds after the bell, MacBride meets him at center ring and just uncorks that straight right and puts Jackson down in the opening segment of the fight, and it turned out to be a 15-1 round. So he was 1 punch point short. I'm using that 3-1, or I'm using the 6-1 ratio for TKO points to punch points to TKO points. So 15-1 means that he was 1 punch point away from potentially stopping this one in round 1. Instead, Jackson comes out, has a decent round. The action is a little bit more slow and deliberate in round 2, and MacBride then is able to put him down on the canvas a second time in the middle of round 3. A combination, does it again a minute later, and then right before the bell, a 3rd time, and that was enough to get the stoppage there. Jackson continued to get up, of course, which didn't surprise us. And so, after that victory, I rolled, here's where things got good, right? So post-fight, I rolled a 3 on normal development. I got a +1 to durability for MacBride. And then I rolled a 3 on the stage advancement, and that made him take a step forward into the seasoned stage already. So I got both aspects of development right after this one fight, and so I was delighted with that. And we'll talk about his ratings here at the end of this recap. So yeah, +1 durability, +1 con. That brings us to August of 1955, 14 reputation points, and he's now seasoned. He has a record of 5-0-0 with 4 knockouts, and facing Wilfred Fletcher. And my training camp modifier, I rolled an 83. I got a +3 on endurance. And Wilfred Fletcher, and we needed that, actually. That was an important roll because Fletcher was the first fighter he faced that would have normally had an endurance advantage on MacBride. But instead, with that +3 training camp modifier, it flipped the script and gave MacBride the edge there. And anything remarkable about this fight? Let's see. The straight right did its job and put Will Fletcher down twice, once midway through the first And again, at the beginning of the fourth, I was a little disappointed with that knockdown at the beginning of the fourth that he didn't get the stoppage in that round. Instead, he kind of cruised on through the next 2 rounds, winning them clearly, rounds 5 and 6, and getting the unanimous decision in 6 rounds there, taking his reputation up to 16. Then, let's see. Then came Gene Jennings in his 7th fight. And for this one, this was the first time I got to roll the next tier level up. So I was facing potential opponents in regional tier 1 and tier 2. And for this one, I actually wanted the toughest opponent available. So I rolled 3 of them, 2 tier 1s, 1 tier 2, and I ended up taking the tier 2 opponent by the name of Gene Jennings. His record was 12-4-1 with 3 knockouts. I made that up based on just looking at his ratings and kind of presuming where I think this guy would be in his career. And so that gives a little bit more narrative depth, but there's no science to doing that sort of thing. So I rolled a 35, unfortunately, on the training camp roll, and his MacBride's endurance was reduced by 3 this time, just the opposite of what happened in the prior training camp. So how did he do against this next tier up? This would be a good litmus test, because at this point I'm starting to position for the regional title, and this fight was fairly tough. Jennings, well, I shouldn't say tough, but Jennings proved to be a worthy opponent and was able to last into the 5th round. So I was pretty delighted with his performance. MacBride started fast, great in round 1 and 2. Combined punch points in favor of MacBride were 21-4, and so he really hammered him early on. It kind of sounded the set the tone, I guess I should say. And then Jennings, being a tactical type, he was able to control and move and slow down the action quite a bit in round 3. But MacBride was having none of it in round 4. And put him down on the canvas for the first and only time. But that did begin the downward slide for Jennings, in earnest. And MacBride really controlled from that point on and was able to force the stoppage at 1:44 of round 5. That got his reputation, MacBride's reputation, from 16 to 19. For the knockout stoppage. And I did in this fight, this is the first time I did an overrule. So in that 5th round, when I knew Jennings was kind of wobbly, I made a roll. According to the rules, you roll to maintain pressure. I think that's an option. I don't know. It's what I use anyway. So. To maintain pressure or elusive, those modes are rolled for to see if you can stay in them. They're harder to maintain for a number of reasons. So he was in pressure. Round 4, had a great round, and then going into round 5, I rolled and he came out of pressure, and I'm like, no, I'm going to overrule that, and I put him back into pressure, and then that's how we got the TKO stoppage in round 5. My normal development roll after this fight was a 12. Stage advancement didn't apply because we're still early in the seasoned stage. That brings me to fight number 8, and now we're in October of 1955. Oh, by the way, going back to September, I had set my fighter's birthday in September, so I was sure to, in September, for the September fight, I increased his age. So now he's 21 years old. And then in October, he goes on to face Willie Ross. And this time I selected an easy opponent because I just kind of needed to collect a few points and get over the hump toward the regional title, and I didn't want anything risky, really. Not that there's too much that's going to threaten MacBride here at the regional level. We'll see. So for fight number 8, I picked an easy fight, and it went as you might expect. It was a quick stoppage, TKO at 220, I can't read it, 221 of round 1. And that included a stagger and 2 5-point knockdowns. And the reason I got 5-point knockdowns, remember, if you've seen the first intro video, I'm using the knockdown severity chart, so you do get 4-point, 5-point, and 6-point knockdown effects off of that. It has its pros and cons. I like it sometimes. Sometimes it kind of annoys me. Okay, so that was Willie Ross. That gave us 3 more reputation points, bringing his reputation to 22. And what else? My development roll after this fight was a 5 again. I think that's the 3rd time I rolled a 5. And that means, so I was just 1 point off of getting another little incremental boost in something. Stage advancement doesn't apply. So that brings us up to Tommy MacBride's title challenge, which is going to happen in November 1955, fight number 9. He comes in with a record of 8-0-0, 6 knockouts. He will be fighting for the Ohio River Valley Lightweight Championship against Rick Flashpoint Burns, who is a Regional 3 opponent. That is it. Thanks for watching, and we'll do the title fight next.